On this episode of Left Off the Map, we're focusing on miso. This recipe we used to have in the restaurant. It was we used to do a whole cauliflower head. I recommend if you are going to do the whole cauliflower head to steam the head first, because you won't cook it all the way through by the time you get a good amount of colour on it because it's so big. I'm going to break it up and put the florets in a roasting tray and then roast it with the miso butter on top of it and some hazelnuts, so we don't have to worry about steaming it. Just want to take the heart out and be left just with the florets and pop them in. Now, depending on your preference, sort of that's the kind of size that I'm after. That size will cook in the time that we're allowing it, and it still gives you a big enough floret that you can sort of put it in the middle of a plate and dress it if you want to. You get a few more in there. Don't overcrowd your roasting tray. You want sort of the air that's moving around in the oven, you want it to be able to move all around your cauliflower, because we want the cauliflower to be really dark at the end of this. We want to roast it fairly hard. All right, that's enough. Now I need to make my miso butter. So into a saucepan, you want 1 to 1, so 1 part miso to 1 part butter. My miso, this is a yellow chickpea miso. So for people who can't eat soy, this is fantastic, because you still get all of that beautiful flavour of the miso. It actually has a slightly, I think it's got a slight chickpea flavour obviously, but I think it's almost nicer than the normal soybean. Now to go with our cauliflower, I've got a flounder. I love flounder. I used to go flounder fishing with my dad and my brother when we were young. Used to love it. A lot of people will trim the flounder up, so you can take that tail and those spines off. It's probably going to help you get it into the pan. Also just cleans it up a little bit, and these bits can burn. So really that's all you're doing, you're just taking off part of the dish that might burn when you're cooking it. Okie dokie. So we've got our flounder set to go. I'm just going to pan fry that with the butter that we've formed with the miso. Just want to spoon a liberal amount of this miso over my cauliflower. Spoon. Just want about a tablespoon over the top of each of your cauliflower florets. My oven is at 180. Pop that in there. That'll take between 30 and 40 minutes. Depends on how small you made your florets. The size we've got there is probably going to take about 40 minutes. When I've got 10 minutes to go, I'll start cooking my flounder so everything sort of comes together at once. So meet me back here in half an hour and we'll have a look at the cauliflower. I've just taken my cauliflower out and put my hazelnuts in, so there's about 10 to 15 minutes left to go on that, which means we can start preparing for our flounder. So a little bit of oil on our griddle pan. This will take about 10 minutes to cook. I don't want a blaring heat. I'm going to cook it through gently, and I'm going to baste it as we go, and then turn, baste, and then turn and baste. So I've got a basting brush, and as we go along, I'm just going to brush the miso butter on, let it cook for a little bit, brush the miso butter on, let it cook for a little bit. And then at about the halfway point, I'm going to turn it over. That has got probably 2 or 3 minutes more to cook through. I can get my cauliflower out because it is done. Give that a stir. Happy with that. Some nice sort of darkly roasted pieces of cauliflower in there. Flounder over. I'm going to put some of these cauliflower florets in a bowl to go with our fish. All of the chickpea miso that you've got in here that's been roasted as well is a beautiful sort of sauce. So I'm going to gather some of that up. And get yourself some of that chickpea, roasted chickpea. Pop that on the plate as well. And that's a beautiful sort of paste, tasty, umami, savoury, sweet paste that you can have with your fish. So a fantastic use of miso, especially that yellow chickpea miso. Any eggplant would be wonderful. Any vegetable goes really well with miso. It's a great combination. So you've got a vegetarian dish and then the flounder, which obviously is carnivarian. Don't think that's how it's pronounced. What is it? Vegetarians and carnivores. Vegetarians and carnivores. So a vegetarian dish and a carnivore dish. So you can have either, or you can put them both together like I have. Eggs are a hugely important ingredient when it comes to cooking. The magical amalgamation of protein, fats and emulsifier means that there are literally hundreds of our favourite recipes and dishes that would not exist if we didn't have eggs. And with such an importance placed on the humble little egg, it's even more vital that we use good quality free-range eggs, not only for the best cooking outcome, but also for the quality of life of the little chickens that supply these eggs. Pure Foods eggs take both of these factors very seriously. And recently I was able to visit their free-range farm in Longford, just outside Launceston, Tasmania. Now, John, when people think of free-range chickens, I think this is the image that everyone wants to have in their head for what free-range chickens looks like. This is stunning.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful setup. There's how many chickens here?
There's 15,000 birds in this flock.
And what kind are they?
Well, they're Highline Brown. They're all American genetics. These birds are 33 weeks old. They've been producing at the rate of 95.5% rate of lay. That's 0.95 of an egg per bird per day. And they'll keep on producing at that rate for quite a few more weeks yet.
Yep.
You know, as I said, they're all Highline Brown. They're the latest American genetics. We're very fortunate to be able to have the latest genetics. And these chooks are really bred to be very calm. They're not flighty and highly strung.
Yep.
If you get hens that are quite calm,
you can tell that. Look at them.
Yeah,
they're just relaxed.
They're just so much better to be with. They're so much easier to manage, and they do produce the maximum amount of eggs.
And genetics plays a big role in getting a good chook to produce eggs.
Plays an enormous role. I mean, there's so many things that they have to get right. They have to have persistence in lay. They have to get the right shell quality, the right internal quality. They have to have hens that can actually are structurally sound enough to be able to sustain a long period of lay. Yep. Because they are commercial laying hens, and they do that, and they do that very easily. They are beautiful birds, and they're great birds to be with, and very easy to manage. I
was going to say that there's something quite calming about being in here, listening to them, just seeing them go about their sort of daily life. It's actually quite calming.
Oh.
It must be nice being in here on a beautiful day.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of a better place to be.
Well, it totally is. And of course, that also ties into nutrition. Nutrition's a really big thing. We have a nutritionist that is attached to the company. The nutritionist is looking at a set of statistics every week that's put out. and he's looking at rates of lay, feed consumption, water consumption, min-max temperatures, the body weight of the hens, and mortality, and looking at that set of statistics so he can work out whether he needs to change the feed formulation. But if you have the feed formulation right, like what we do have at the moment, you're going to get very calm chooks. You're going to get chooks that are going to lay to their full genetic potential. And that's what it's about.
Now, how long would they be out here roaming around doing their thing? And then I imagine sort of getting towards sundown, they head back in. That's the natural sort of life cycle?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the computer in the shed controls everything. So it's programmed to open the doors at 10 a.m. in the morning and close the doors at 7:30 at night when it's already dark. We adjust that if we need to by the length of daylight. So what happens at 10 o'clock in the morning, the chooks all have their own little time clock in their heads and they know that the doors are about to open. So they're virtually leaning on the door, ready to come out. The doors come up, the chooks come out, and they go in and out all day as they feel that they want to. The feed is inside the sheds. They're on 8 feeds a day and that's programmed right throughout the day. So what happens is they hear the feeders running and they sort of decide, hey, I think we'll go and have a feed. So they have free will. They can do whatever they want once the doors are open. They can just go out, enjoy the day. They've already laid their eggs because laying starts at 5 o'clock in the morning. And by 9 o'clock, 95% of the eggs are laid. They're all laid early. And then the doors go up and they can go outside. If we let them out a lot earlier, some of the chooks might decide, well, hey, we might lay outside. So we've got the opportunity to be able to control that, and it works really well.
Now, something I noticed, which I notice all farms that I go to, when other humans come in, sometimes the animals can be flighty. These animals have been absolutely calm as I've been able to pat them as we go around. I think that's a really good insight into they're not scared of humans, so they must be treated well by humans.
Look, absolutely. We receive these a day old. They're flown into the airport at Launceston. This lot would have come in, there would have been just over 15,000, and we pick them up, take them to our rearing farm. They go into 35-degree air-conditioned comfort. That's the day one temperature. And we're with them all the time, right through the life of the flock. So they're so well treated in the rearing system. They come over here and it's the same. Into the lower farm, and they just have this good life.
I've never seen chickens respond like this. Like they've come up to us to be around us. It's almost like they want to be around humans. Which is so nice to see in a farm. I mean, everyone hopes and expects and wants a free-range farm for chickens to look like this. The fact that they do look like this is a stunning location for chickens. They're treated really well. Is a credit to what is happening here. How long have you been doing it?
Thank you. Well, I've been on this farm for 35 years. Wow. Which is quite a long time. And I think that, we're pretty fortunate in Tasmania because, we've got good quality air and it's cool air. It never gets too hot. It virtually never gets too cold. And so what happens is that our birds, they don't have any internal or external parasites. And they've got this perfect temperature constantly because the sheds that they go into are climatically controlled. So, they're just in the right temperature zone all the time. And this part of Tassie is a really good place to produce eggs.
Mate, it's absolutely stunning. It really is. This is what I was hoping it would look like, but not expecting it would look like. But this is absolutely fantastic. So this is the class of 2020 that we're seeing here.
Absolutely.
It's a pretty good looking class. I'm going to show you how to smoke salmon. You're going to need a smoker, and these are fantastic smokers. They come with the Big Pig, which is a great little outdoor heating system, but also a fantastic barbecue, charcoal grill, and also smoker. We're going to use the smoker today. Cold smoked salmon is something that everyone has tried and most people like. I don't think you've really enjoyed hot smoked salmon until you've had it fresh though. Smoking salmon is a good way of preserving salmon, but to have it as a non-preserved item, so something that's fresh out of the smoker, is completely different. So I'm going to show you how to go through that. We got a beautiful whole salmon here from Huon Aquaculture. So the first thing I want to do now, some people leave the head on. When they fill it, I'm going to take the head off. So just behind the gills and just past this little pectoral fin is where I want to make my first cut. So pull the pectoral fin to the side, go in there behind the pectoral fin and up to the top of the head here. Make your first incision, go all the way through, down to the bone, you can feel the bone there. And then I'm going to turn it over. So behind that pectoral fin again and up to the top of the skull, make another incision, line up with that top cut. So now I've got a nice clean body of the fish to work with. Because when they're nice and fresh like this, they can be a little slippery. Just want to put some paper towel underneath it so the fish doesn't move around while I'm trying to fill it. I'll pop that underneath. A bit of chucks or paper towel will work. Then a couple of bits from my hands so my hands don't get slippery. So now you can see the anatomy of the fish. You can see the backbone here and the pin bones that come down to form the rib cage. That's what I want to cut through. I want to keep nice and close to this backbone to get as much fish as I can. And then I'll clip these pin bones as I go down. You need a nice sharp knife, nice and close to that backbone, pop it in, and you'll be able to hear those pin bones break. Now I'm tilting the knife, so you can see my knife there slightly tilted down so that it keeps hitting that backbone as I make my way through. I can hear those pin bones popping all the way through the tail. So you've now got one complete side off, and you can see, looking at that, how much you've left no meat on the bone or on the fish. Taking that whole, fill it off nice and clean. And if you want to take the other side off, just flip it over and do the same thing. Now I want to show you the next step whenever you're smoking something, which is brining. And the idea of brining is you create a solution of water with some flavourings in it that is saltier than the fish itself. And there's a scientific principle called osmosis, and a saying, where salt goes, water follows. So because there is more salt in the water than there is in the fish, the salt will start to permeate into the fish. And as the salt passes into the fish, it'll take water with it, and it will take all those flavourings with it. So it's a way of getting more moisture and more water into whatever it is that you're cooking, and that'll pass not only the moisture, but the flavourings that are in the water into the salmon. We've got 8 litres of water here, which means we need about 40 grams of salt. So we'll pop 40 grams of salt in. So we'll put our juniper berries in, put our coriander seed in, and our fennel seed. So now I can put whatever, if you're doing a whole pork shoulder, if you're doing a whole piece of salmon, just put the whole thing in there and then leave it in the fridge for as long as you want. Once the salt levels in the salmon and the salt levels in the water even out, the moisture will stay as it is. So you can't over brine something. Pop that in, stir everything around, and then leave that in the fridge. If you're out camping and you're going to get to 4 degrees overnight, just cover it up and leave it outside and it'll be fine. As long as you're at about 4 degrees, you're going to be okay. I've taken the salmon out of the brine, just patted it dry. I can put my smoker on now. I'll cut my salmon into manageable pieces. So these are my smoking racks. This is what I can fit inside my smoker. So I just want a piece that's going to fit on there. Skin side down, 3 racks. So I can get 3 pieces. So this is a hot smoker. So not only we're creating smoke inside the chamber, and you can control the smoke with this. So if you want lots of smoke, close this one, so you keep more smoke inside the pig, and close this one and you'll keep more smoke inside the actual smoker. If I want less smoke, I can open that up and let a little bit of smoke out. But it's also creating heat at 180 degrees in there already. So we get smoke and heat moving around. So these will take, they're big pieces of salmon. So these are gonna take about 18 to 20, 24 minutes. We'll check on them as they go. The tail piece will probably come out first. So I just wanna slide these racks in. And you can put the thickest, biggest portion at the bottom. That's obviously going to take on the most amount of smoke. Now, salmon is perfect for smoking because it has a decent amount of fat through the meat itself. So the smoke attaches itself to the fat in the meat. So things like scotches are really good, brisket, porterhouse because it's got a nice fat cap, salmon, which is nice and oily and nice and fatty. It holds onto that smoke nicely. So we'll close that up. So that's our tail portion, which is ready to go, and that's probably going to come out about 5 minutes before the rest of it. All you need to do, like I said, this will sit in the fridge and it'll preserve it, and you can have it in salads or in pastas over the next couple of weeks. But having smoked salmon hot and fresh, there's nothing like it. All you need is a little bit of salt and then just dig in. It's moist, it's fatty, it's smoky, it's just beautiful. So if you're someone who likes hot smoked salmon, if you ever do hot smoked salmon, try it fresh before you put it away to preserve it.